Coming up now is another sparkling Two Mics podcast.
This is TalkSport Extra Time. We are the Two Mics, and it's that time of the week when I say the first very good morning to Mr. Mike Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. It's good
very nice
to be
to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be here again.
You're
as
limping,
ever.
though, aren't you?
I'm limping, that's the gout. I'll get around to that in a minute, because my problems are not the primary concern of this show. Primary concern of this show is to entertain the audience.
Yes.
And frankly, I don't think the audience care very much what I was doing at the weekend.
Don't they?
No, I don't think so. I think that we all have our weekends and we have to spend them sometimes with the family and all that, and I don't want to make out that my time is any more valuable than the time of our millions of listeners.
Very true. I'm not suggesting that it is either.
I spent a lot of the time at the weekend driving up down the M3.
Yeah, I know, in horrible weather.
In horrible weather with my fog lights on. You got in trouble for putting your fog lights on.
Well, here's a strange thing that happened to me. It was a Saturday night, and it wasn't actually raining, but, you know, the visibility at the moment isn't great. I drove up tonight from Sussex, and it was very foggy, and foggy patches all over the place. So I tend to leave my fog lights on if I'm driving.
Yeah.
And also, when you're driving around the sort of back roads of Sussex, and I was taking my son out to meet one of his friends, so I had the fog lights on, and I was vaguely aware of the guy behind me who was flashing me with his high beam.
And did you know why?
And I thought to myself, well, why is he flashing me? Is there something, you know, have I not shut the back of the car? Is there something hanging off the back of the car? Is there something wrong? And eventually I thought to myself, I wonder if he's flashing me because I've got the fog lights on. On the back of a Land Rover, the fog lights are quite bright.
Oh, they're very bright.
And there's two of them, right? And so I decided to put them off. And then he stopped flashing me. So I can only assume that he was flashing me because I had my fog lights on.
Strange.
And, you know, I've never known anyone do that before.
I mean, the fog lights are very bright. I've got them on the back of my Merc, you know, and they're probably brighter because, of course, Merc is not 13 years old. You know what I mean?
Two,
no, I've got two.
This car isn't 13 years old either. That's the other car.
Oh, I see, it's the other car, right. And they don't dazzle anybody.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so.
I mean, I've seen them when I've been stopped, you know, if I've got out the car for some reason, all that, and they're quite bright. And they're very significant because when you're on a motorway and there's rain plus low light plus drizzle,
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I leave the fog lights on because one, they illuminate the road at a very low level in the front, which is necessary when there's no street lights, and also at the back, you want to make sure people can see you.
Well, I mean, some people drive around with disgracefully poor lighting on their cars. It's no wonder we have accidents on motorways, and so I think fog lights are absolutely essential. But that was last weekend. I want to talk to you about next weekend. Because we're going to Spurs on Sunday.
Yes, we are.
And, you know,
4 o'clock kickoff, right?
Yeah, well, you see, this is my point. Why have you suggested we meet in a pub in London at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning for breakfast?
I said that because that's what we did last time, but I think it was an earlier kickoff.
No,
yes,
we didn't.
We did. We met in Liverpool Street.
It was a 1:30 kickoff,
yeah, it was.
That's right. Yeah, but this is a 4 o'clock kickoff.
Right, well, we better not meet that early then.
But you said 9 o'clock, and I said, what are you talking about? You said, well, we could have a bit of a bit of breakfast.
You said, breakfast,
you know, a bit of sausage and bacon, all that kind of stuff in a pub, you know, that opens at 9 o'clock.
Oh, well, it's the pub that you took me to last year.
Near Liverpool Street Station.
Which you apparently knew off by heart.
In fact, I think it's inside Liverpool Street Station. And no doubt you will start that breakfast drinking pints of beer with it as well, I presume.
Or some champagne, possibly.
Champagne, I see, on the old champagne train again. But that still means we've got 7 hours till kick-off. Now, as we're hosts...
well, it's because I didn't realise it was a 4 o'clock kick-off when I suggested that.
Of course you realised it was.
I don't know. I would never suggest going on a 7-hour drinking binge with you before we got to the ground.
You want to get gallons of grog down your throat, stuff your face full of food and all that kind of stuff. I mean, John Sims is our host. He's a very good friend of mine.
He is.
Very respectable businessman.
Very nice man.
His brother happens to be chief executive of Peterborough United Football Club. He's going to probably be there with us.
Yeah.
I'm not taking some drunken dolt like you into his hospitality suite.
I don't know why you suddenly decided to launch this attack on me. Since the last time we were there, you were the guy that thought that Ross Barkley, who I don't think was even playing, had actually taken a shot at goal sometime in the second half. And you said that boy is going to go far. And when it was pointed out to you, actually, he's not playing, people were wondering exactly how much you may have been buying.
Honestly, that's utter nonsense. It's a mischievous story. I'm going to skip over it because mentioning Ross Barkley are interesting.
Yes.
Because Gazza, i.e. Mr. Gascoigne, who has been in the paper for remarkably strange reasons.
He has, hasn't he? Yeah, we were
days.
talking about that a little bit earlier on in the first hour.
Yeah, but how about this one? Bark has the bite, but it'll never be me. Gazza exclusive. Now, you know, this is in a national newspaper. Ross Barkley is not N-O-T in capital letters, the new Gazza, according to the man himself. But Paul Gascoigne reckons Barkley has the hallmarks to become one of England's finest players. Well, I mean, that's all a bit odd, that, isn't it? He's all right, but he's not me.
Yeah.
Gazza, you wasted your career, mate. You basically wasted your career. I'm awfully sorry, but you were great in the 1990 World Cup. You had a period of about 2 or 3 years, which was a purple patch. But when you failed to control yourself, your emotions, at the 1991 Cup final, you wrecked your own career doing your knee.
Getting himself injured, yeah.
Yeah, I'm afraid. And I'm sorry to have to say that. And I know that truth hurts and all that, because poor boy's fighting all sorts of emotional problems now. But that is the fact. And if Ross Barkley plays for 10 years at the sort of level which we saw him at in sparks of brilliance last season, he will have a very fine career.
But I suppose
indeed.
It's always difficult if you're a young player coming through and people are always comparing you to somebody like Paul Gascoigne and saying, well, you could be the new Gazza, because it's been said about a lot of players, isn't it? Which never really ends up coming true.
You don't have to do much to actually match what Gazza achieved in his career, because he didn't really achieve very much, with the greatest respect to him. When he came back to this country, I always thought that he went to Rangers because it was a much easier option than having to battle it out in the Premier League in England. Yeah. I'm afraid in those days Rangers was equivalent in terms of monetary return.
Well, they were making lots of players very wealthy at that time,
exactly, and I think he thought that it was an easier option to go up there, and he said, he won the double on 2 or 3 seasons, all that kind of stuff. They don't compare to English honours, I'm afraid. Anyway, look, the other thing about Gaz, which is so interesting, Mike, is for some unknown reason, there was a detail of a story yesterday in which he said Arsenal have given him £40,000 towards his medical treatment.
Yeah, and Spurs have apparently been helping him towards that as well.
Spurs have helped some of it, apparently, but there was a claim earlier that he was asked to pay for tickets there.
I think he's since rescinded that. He said that was wrong.
Yeah, that's right, he's corrected that, yeah. He also said that he spent £350,000 of his own money on rehabilitation visits and all that kind of stuff, plus the $100,000 with
But he
Chris
also
Evans
says there's nothing wrong with him, right?
Well, you see, this is the weirdest bit, which I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand where he is now. He says that for all the drinking escapades he's had over the years, there's nothing wrong with him. He says, as long as I stay how I am now and enjoy life, I will be okay. I've had tests on everything, liver, kidneys and heart, and it's all come up fine. I've been very lucky with my liver. But then he goes on to say, but, of course, if I start drinking again, I will kill myself. I don't know what he'll die of. I'm not being trite here. I'm not being
well, I guess his
dismissive.
point is that he doesn't want to get back into being... he's obviously always going to be addicted to alcohol all his life, even if he never drinks another drop. But, I mean, he doesn't want to go down that road. So I guess he's talking about if he does go down that road, he won't be able to control it, and that will eventually kill him. Whether it's actually a physical thing or a mental thing, I don't know.
But he's saying in this piece, to justify what I just said, my last falling off the wagon was just a little blip. People who go on, a bit of a bender once every 2 weeks or something like that, don't really have a drink problem, do they? If you see what I mean.
Well, I guess it depends on the individual, doesn't it?
It's something what everybody, a lot of people do. It might be a wedding, or it might be you're on a stag night or something.
But they might be damaging themselves in a way that they don't actually know, and they won't find out about until later on.
It might be, but as I say, Gaz has had all the medical tests and says that he's in very good shape, and I'm delighted to hear that. Yeah. That's very, very good news. I mean, what I'm trying to say is he torturing himself in his own head by being completely abstemious when, in fact, could he have a social drinking life?
I don't think he could. I think he's one of those people. We all know people who, if they are like that, they can't actually have a social drink, not at all. Now, let me ask you this question. It comes from Derek in Pencoed.
Oh, Pencoed.
In South Wales. He says, Mike, can you please ask Porky what he made of Ross Barkley's dive against West Ham? Or is he still going to claim that Everton players don't dive?
No, it was disgraceful. Yeah. For a young man like that. And he launched himself over an imaginary leg. There was nothing there. And was it Nolan, the West Ham player?
I'm not sure.
I think it was. It was Kevin Nolan, who looked aghast, and I don't blame him. That I hope Roberto Martinez jumped on that. In fact, I'm surprised more wasn't made of it in the reports that I was reading the following day of that game, because I just hope somebody takes him aside and says, look, A, you made yourself look very silly, and B, you put a question mark over your own honesty as a player, and C, referees will watch that next time. They're bound to. Yeah. If they think that you're a guy who's tumbling over imaginary legs and all that shouldn't be done. Yeah. Look, we all live and learn. Even Phil Neville, when he was captain of Everton, admitted that actually threw himself to the ground on one occasion when it seemed convenient, apologised and
said, there's not too many players that have never done it.
I don't think he'll do it again. And it's something that you're right to bring up, but I hope he'll take note.
Well, I certainly wouldn't have brought it up, but Derek in Pencoed, I'm sure, is very, very happy.
Derek in Pencoed.
Here's one from Mark, who says, fog lights, brackets, rear ones, are 20% brighter than brake lights. I'm a truck driver, and there's nothing more annoying than numbskulls driving around with fog lights on. General rule.
What, even in fog?
If you can see with headlights in your mirrors, don't have your fog lights on. Well, I don't understand how fog lights on the back of a car could in any way upset a lorry driver or anybody else. I really don't. And if I want to put in, in the highway code, the rule says if visibility improves, then we recommend that you put the fog lights off. Yeah. Now, as far as I'm concerned, driving around in the dark where there are no street lights, the visibility is always awful.
I agree. I totally agree with you. And a lorry driver is very high up on the road. Yeah. And I would imagine half the time can't even see the fog lights. They'll be so low on a car in front of them, so much spray coming up and all that kind of stuff.
Seems ridiculous, doesn't it?
So, well, it seems a little ridiculous, but then again, we are not kings of the road in terms of the fact that we don't drink.
But it's another example.
Don't drive lorries.
It's another example of the kind of intolerant behaviour that people exhibit on the roads.
Don't like intolerance.
I don't like intolerance. I'm very intolerant of it, actually.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. 08717 223344. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast out. Hopefully it won't get messed up like the podcast did on Friday.
Oh, I haven't taken task on that yet.
It's not my fault.
What on earth did you screw that up
for? It is not my fault.
Oh,
I'm going to explain to you precisely what went wrong, and it's got something to do with a woman behind the glass in there. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the Two Mics. I've just come across the most bizarre scene. It was Mike Porky Parry outside wrestling with a whole load of pills.
Well, I've
just taken a picture and tweeted it out at IROMG. I'll send it out on the Two Mics. Why are you rattling them like that? You've got an enormous number of boxes of pills.
Let me tell you why I'm suffering from gout, OK? International drug companies have conspired to give me gout, and it's very bad pain. Now, I'll tell you what happens.
But these are all the pills that you take on a daily basis, right?
A daily basis,
quite frightening.
Yeah. Now,
absolutely ridiculous.
Now, what happens is, Mike, and I want you to follow this, because this is a very logical argument,
is
OK?
It? OK.
When I
go and get first time for everything, then.
I'll just ignore that. When I go to the chemist every 2 months to pick up my supply of pills, right, which is so big, I have to bring them home.
You have to take like a hold-all to get all that.
No, I have to bring them home in the car.
Right.
I mean, you can't really bring them home. There's such a big bag of them, right? Now, the point is that when I first...
Stop rattling them, though.
No, I'm rattling them so that the audience get a bit of the atmosphere. Now, for instance...
Look, the atmosphere of pills being rattled.
Yes. Now, if I show you this one, tell me what that pill is.
That says Carvedilol.
Carvedilol. And what colour is the box?
Film-coated tablets. Oh, it's orange and white.
Right. Now, what does that say?
That says the same thing.
And what colour is that box?
Carvedilol. That's blue and white.
Right, thank you very much indeed. And if I show you...
And one's 25 milligrams and the other's 12.5 milligrams.
Hang on, and if I show you this one, what does that say?
That says Carvedilol as well.
And what colour is that box?
That's green and grey.
Right, OK, thank you very much.
What, are you taking three different kinds of pills of the same make?
This is exactly my point. Right. Every 2 months I pick up my collection of pills, right?
It's in Braille as well on the front.
Yeah,
Why'd you get the Braille ones?
Well, I don't know, I'm not blind, but some people apparently are who take those pills. They must be, I suppose. Now, what happens is, after about 6 months, you go and pick up your pills, and they've changed all the colours. So, you see what I mean? So that's got three different colours.
So those are three different sort of shipments, if you like.
Well, I suppose they are. Or they could be the same shipment in the same... no, they could be all in the same shipment, because if you see, that says 12.5...
But they're different milligrams,
and that says 25. That's what I'm saying. Different measurements. Now the point is,
you surely should have just one type.
Now hang on. Can I explain, please? It's not complicated, right?
So I used to
have a pill called allopurinol.
Right.
And allopurinol, if you look it up on anybody's computer, it deals with the nitric acid in your blood, and the nitric acid is actually created by all these other pills. So the allopurinol kills that off, and the nitric acid...
So you take pills to give you nitric acid, and you take other pills to get rid of it?
To stop it, yes,
that's right. That makes no sense at all.
No, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Why don't you just take no pills?
Well, because then the heart would stop working, and I'd die. All right, would you like that, Mike? Hey?
But gout is...
Didn't your earlier caller, by the way, say he died 4 times?
4 times, yeah.
4 times. I mean,
Incredible.
He couldn't have really died, could he? Unless he's had sort of out-of-body experience.
Well, no, you can die and then be brought back, can't you, by the old electrical...
I mean, look, I'm not trying to belittle the man's health problems, but you don't die,
People have done.
Well, it sounds like no... Anyway, the point of the story is...
But gout is not about nitric acid, it's about uric acid, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the same thing. But we don't call it uric because it's rude, you know what I mean? So we call it nitric. Yes, absolutely.
I don't think nitric acid and uric acid are the same thing.
They are exactly the same thing, believe me. Yeah, listen, man, I know. Really? I'm carrying these diseases, OK? But anyway, the point of the story is, for years, my allopurinol tablets were in... a green one like this.
Right.
Or maybe not this
Now,
colour.
I'm told that's used to treat gout or kidney stones.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So they're in a green one like this.
So what's that going to do with your heart, then?
Well, because what I've been doing is, for the last month,
it's like talking to some kind of maniac.
Hang on, from my last supply... Just let the listeners... I've got the pills here. From my last supply, what I was doing was, I was taking Carvedilol, which is a beta blocker to keep my heart going.
Okay.
From this packet...
So that's like a blood thinner, isn't it?
It strengthens the wall of the heart.
Does it? Okay.
So from this packet and that packet... And taking...
But why are you taking the same pill from 2 different packets?
Because they're different measurements, aren't they? That's 25 milligrams, that's 12.5. They have to take a combination of the two, OK? And green ones...
Why don't you just take 3 of the 12.5s instead of one 25 and one 12.5?
Because the size of the box is relative to the strength of the tablets, isn't it? They're 12.5, you need twice as many pills as a 25. You see what I mean?
Right.
It's like having...
But you could take 3 of those and then you could put the other box away.
It's like having pound coins in your pocket or 50p coins. Yeah. You wouldn't want to have 40 50p coins if you could have 21 coins,
That's
would you?
true, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. See?
Or a couple of £10 notes, actually, I'd rather have.
Basic, simple logistics.
I'm very
and maths.
confused by
Now
this.
then, so I start taking the allopurinol tablets because they come out the green packet, right? You won't believe what happens. I'm actually taking a double dose of carvedilol because they put carvedilol, the beta blocker, in green packets.
Well, so can't you just read what it says on the front?
Well, I assumed they were allopurinol, so I'm ODing on carvedilol.
So now you've got gout.
So I start going all funny and like odd and start acting odd and feeling like lighter.
I thought that was just the way you were.
No, it's not just the way I am.
So what are you talking about, like the last month or something? Because that would explain a lot of the stuff you came out with.
Yeah, so a bit lightheaded, feeling the heart beating faster and faster and faster and thinking there's something wrong here, but I'm not sure what it is, right? But it's because I was ODing on this tablet and I wasn't taking any allopurinol, which seems to have disappeared. I don't know where they've gone.
Well, somebody's stolen it, maybe.
No, they haven't stolen it. I just reckon in my last prescription they must have put the wrong tablet in or something like that. Anyway, the point of the story is that then gives you chronic gout, which I've now got. I've now got to rush off to the chemist in the morning and get a supply of allopurinol to save my foot. The way I feel at the moment, I'd rather have it taken off.
This must cost you a fortune, all this stuff.
Well, I'm afraid, it's the price of staying alive, Mike. The alternative is to put my health at risk, and you don't want to do that. I'll just shake this bag for the...
Why are you doing that?
Just to let our listeners know that, there are hundreds of tablets in this studio which are needed to keep my body functioning.
So
my brain, my heart.
So how many actual pills are you taking every day?
22.
22 every single morning?
Yeah. Well, no, I take 18 in the morning, 4 at night.
That's incredible. Stephen has tweeted at OMG, says, has he robbed the pharmacy?
No.
It does look like that.
No, I haven't robbed the pharmacy at all. These are my pills, and some of them are in blue. See, atorvastatin in blue or... atorvastatin in red. You see the problem?
Yeah.
See, that's the same pill.
Why can't you take this up with your pharmacist and say, can you not make this simpler for me?
I think what happens is the National Health Service, they get bombarded by drug companies all the time. Oh, we can give you a better deal on atorvastatin. So next time
are they different manufacturing names then?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. This says Dexel Pharmacies, and what's this one? I don't know. No, the point is, because they're all different colours, I think I've uncovered a major medical problem here. I think a lot of people are taking pills colour-coded. I mean, look at this. What does that say? Perindopril, OK?
Yeah.
See?
What's that for?
I'm not sure, really. and that
you don't even know what you're taking.
And that says Perindopril.
Now that's Perindopril as well.
You see?
And to me, you've just got too many pills.
Well, no, but I've got too many pills in the wrong boxes, and this can completely confuse you. In times of need and stress, when you're putting pills in your throat and in your mouth, and all of a sudden you find they're the wrong pills because they're in the wrong colour box.
Unbelievable.
And that is driving me mad.
Well, here's a tip for you, a health tip from Talk Crick, who says gout is caused by an unhealthy, rich, sugary diet.
No, it's
you
not.
better start taking culinary advice from Mr. Graham. Which is probably a good idea, actually.
No,
because you eat a lot of food that's got sugar in it. Like a lot of the processed food that you eat has got extra sugar loaded into it, and loads of salt and all that. And when you had the Battenberg cake you brought in the other day, you eat loads of that sort of stuff.
That is true for normal people, but I'm not a normal person. I'm not a normal person because I have to take all these pills to keep the old ticker going. If the ticker wasn't going, could be very dire consequences, obviously. And that's what gives me the uric nitric acid problem, which has to then be taken away by the allopurinol.
So how long are you going to have to suffer with this gout?
Overnight, certainly.
Grumpy,
certainly. You can't even put...
it's meant to be very painful.
It's very painful. You can't even put a sheet on the bed on it, and I haven't got any sheets anyway. I've got duvets, and I have to sleep with my foot out the bed. And otherwise, the friction of the cotton on the duvet on my feet is dreadful.
Really?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So I'll let you know all that, OK.
Yeah, it says here that nitric acid is a highly corrosive chemical compound that is poisonous as a liquid and gives off a choking red or yellow fumes into the air.
Oh, well, that's not the sort of nitric acid you have in your body, obviously.
I hope not.
Because if you did, it'd burn your foot off.
Well, you shouldn't have
it
in your body, should you?
No, it's uric acid.
It's uric acid. Yeah, it's not the same as nitric acid.
Well, it's the same.
You said it was the same.
No, I mean it's the same sort of thing in a different compound, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do know.
Obviously, it's not burning me feet off or anything like that.
Hopefully not.
No, but it's very unpleasant, believe me. But as usual,
I don't think you're eliciting much sympathy for anybody because it sounds to me like you've just got too much.
I don't talk about these things. I don't like to talk about these things. Okay, because because
I've noticed that.
The thing is that you just got to grit your teeth and get on with it. I'm telling you,
That's what you have to
do.
Easy.
Not easy.
Porky needs one of those 7-day pill containers so he knows exactly what he needs to take, says Christopher. You can get those boxes where you could kind of decant everything so that you know what
I know exactly what I've got to take. It's just
apparently you're messing it up.
No, it's not. If you reach out for the green box because it's allopurinol, and a week later you find, hang on, I've been taking the wrong tablet, it's because the colour coding's been changed, and they shouldn't change the colour coding.
OK. He is Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham. We are the two Mikes. Loads more coming up next. This is TalkSport Extra Time with the two Mikes. There will be a podcast out a little bit later on. As I said to you earlier, I'm not really accepting any of the blame for that because, as you know, I do an awful lot of work on the podcast.
Mike, you screwed it up at the end of the day.
No, but it's not down to me. It's down to the technical wizardry of the people at TalkSport.
Hang on. I go home at 6 o'clock on a Friday morning.
Yeah.
I expect within a couple of hours our podcast to be out.
Yeah, but you don't do anything
charge.
Towards it.
No. I leave that to you. You claim you're the technical whiz kid round here.
Well, I'm not the technical whiz kid. What I do
is
I'm
the brains behind the operation.
What I do, that's the trouble, isn't it?
I'm the brains behind the
operation. Maybe got it around the wrong way.
I'm the brains behind the operation, and you're supposed to be the technical whiz kid because, let's face it, when it comes to debate, when it comes to intelligent discussion, I lead the way.
Yes.
I lead the way.
I know you do.
And you're supposed to get busy on the old machines afterwards and put it on to a great podcast, which our millions of listeners can then access in their own time and enjoy.
Well, actually, the problem with the podcast, there was no problem with the podcast.
Intelligentsia-driven show that I'm largely responsible for.
It's a shame that you can't actually work the phone, but never mind. The point about the podcast was it did go out, and the only thing was that people were disappointed because the chocolate quiz wasn't on there because it did quite well on it, and people were suggesting, you included, that I'd somehow deliberately had it left off.
Of course you did.
Because I didn't want to make it look like you were doing well on the quiz.
I got very, very good scores, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, and lo and behold...
It's just one of those things that happen.
Lo and behold, by mystery, that was the first time the quiz's never been included in the podcast.
It was an oversight, right?
Was the shortest we've ever had, and it exited the quiz.
Later on, though, it was added back in, and it was one of those technical problems that was just one of those things that happened.
A day later.
It was a day later because somehow the techies, when they decided to withdraw the first podcast, it turned out that when anybody went on there, they couldn't actually get the thing right.
Surrounded by
So all I can do is apologise. I'm not going to throw the person responsible under the bus because it's not the way I am. I'm going to protect their...
It's your responsibility, nobody else's.
No, I'm going to protect their identity, and I'm not going to blame anybody else. And I will, like Brendan Rodgers, take full responsibility for what went wrong.
Oh, that's very...
I can apologise only now to you and to everybody else.
Yeah, and deny millions of our listeners the full podcast.
Now, let me ask you this, right, before I read out some people are suggesting you should drink cherry juice, by the way, which would be helpful with your gout.
As long as it's not...
And did you know, by the way, that on Friday coming up, it's this Black Friday that they're talking about. Lots of people have been tweeting me today saying, I see that some of the big supermarkets are now taking you up on your shopping style, because they've now called it Black Friday. So everybody goes into the shop and only buys things that are black.
No, you fool. That's not what it's all about.
Yeah, but don't you remember your colour-coded shopping?
Well, of course I do remember colour-coded shopping. I still do it. To me, it's part of my orderly life to get things right, to not waste time. And lots of people have actually said that they're taking up the whole principle. But Black Friday means... we're in the black.
Yeah.
I.e., there will be surplus amounts of money around.
Spend a ridiculous amount of money.
Spend a ridiculous amount of money. And it's actually Friday after Thanksgiving, isn't it, in the United States?
It is, that's right.
So that's where...
And that's where we picked it up from. Now, how about this that's come in on the text?
Go on.
I would like to request a minute's silence in celebration of Mike Parry. It was he who called it completely correctly regarding Lewis Hamilton several weeks ago. Not for him, the juvenile criticism of Mike Graham and Toby regarding Hamilton.
Yeah.
Stand up and salute Mike Parry. 3 cheers.
Thank you.
Well, that's a horrible, grovelling thing to send in.
No, it's not. No, it's great. Who's that from?
It doesn't give a name, unfortunately.
OK, well, thank you, whoever you are. You're much appreciated for you to see sensibly the way these things happen. Now then, although
It was a pretty boring race, though, wasn't it?
Well, no, it wasn't, because you wait any minute now for Lewis Hamilton's axle to break or his tyre to burst or something like that.
These cars are not going to just break down,
They do. Well, hang on. The other guys broke down. Nico Rosberg's car broke down.
Yeah.
And if it had been the other way around, supposing it had been the other way around, 2 Mercedes cars prepared by basically the same bunch of mechanics, right, come out onto the race. If one of them broke down, the other one would win the World Championship. Yeah. And it just so happened Rosberg's broke down.
What if they both broken down? What would have happened then?
Well, both didn't break down, did they?
Well, neither did Lewis Hamilton, so you're asking the same question to yourself.
No, if they'd have both broken down, Lewis Hamilton would have won the World Championship because they were so far ahead.
So that's what I mean. Because they were so far ahead, in the end, actually, it wasn't going to be much of a race at all unless both of them were going to be, up against it.
If Hamilton suddenly started losing time and reporting over his intercom, that my gear, I can't change gear and all that would have been a problem. Now, talking about Lewis Hamilton...
Yes.
If you were voting for the Sportsman of the Year, there are only two contenders: Lewis Hamilton, Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
Who would you choose?
Rory McIlroy.
I would as well.
Time.
I would as well. Although I'm a huge fan of Lewis Hamilton, he's done brilliantly well. You'd have to give it to Rory Hamilton because
Rory Hamilton.
Sorry, Rory McIlroy. Sorry.
Why not give it to Rory Hamilton?
That's right, yeah.
You're obviously taking Rory, the wrong pills.
Just shut up, you're confusing me. Rory McIlroy would definitely have to be the winner in my view for two reasons. Firstly, because of his youth and doing it so young. But secondly, he's actually won 2 world championships, if you see what I mean, in effect. You know, Lewis Hamilton's won... Well, Lewis Hamilton's won
Lewis Hamilton's won 2 world championships, which has only been done by, 3 other British drivers? Jackie Stewart's got 3.
Graham Hill, Jackie
Stewart,
Jim Clark, that's it, yeah. And all the others, like Nigel Mansell, Damon Hill, basically retired after they won the world championships, didn't they? And Jenson Button's still going. James Hunt, of course, just decided to go on a drinking and, nefarious substances spree for the next 5 years.
Right.
Good luck to him. Why not?
Do you think Sir Jackie Stewart is going to be upset if Hamilton wins a 3rd one? Because it'll mean he's equalled his record.
Very much doubt it. He's a gentleman and a scholar, and no, I think he would welcome another Englishman equaling his...
What do you mean, another Englishman?
His record. Another British. Another Briton.
You wouldn't want to call him English.
No, I wouldn't call him British, no.
But it's what I thought was... Because I don't watch an awful lot of Formula 1, I have to say. And I tuned in for about the last 5 laps because I realised that it was on and I should
didn't you tune in for the start?
No.
The start of a race is the most exciting part of it.
I wasn't available for the start.
Because Hamilton...
I wasn't available for the start of it.
I mean, apparently he had a word with his engineer or someone and said, set the... whatever it is that makes a car shoot off the grid, the... what's it called?
Throttle?
No, not the throttle. The gearing, how fast the wheels go round and all that kind of stuff.
Gearing ratio.
Yeah, that's right, something like that. Yeah, absolutely right. The torque. The torque, right? Torque. Yeah, torque as in talk sport, but spelt differently. And he rolls off the grid there. Nico Rosberg left trailing, right from the first bend. And that's the most exciting part of the race.
Well, it can be,
until
I mean, that's normally what I would do, is watch the beginning of the race and watch the end. But I wasn't available for the beginning of the race. I was doing something else. But the thing that annoyed me about it mostly was the way that track looked. It looked like something from a video game.
It looked like a Scalextrics.
Yeah, it did. And it just didn't look like a real track to me.
No, I agree.
And therefore it had no atmosphere. And I put it out on Twitter. I said, what a terrible place to end the season.
Yeah, I agree,
because there are so many great racetracks around the world.
And
I mean, I know it was going past all these very expensive yachts and all sorts of buildings and all that, but it just didn't look like anything.
And also, I mean, the only thing we normally watch under floodlights in this country is football. So whenever I saw the cars shooting past stands, I thought, is that Villa Park, so to speak, for a split second.
But I don't mind watching the Singapore Grand Prix under floodlights because it's on a proper road. But this just didn't. It looked like something in a kid's bedroom.
No, I agree. Now, listen, the other thing is... I thought that Lewis Hamilton, I'm not sure if it was during this season or maybe it was last. I think it was last. I think it was last season. He would finish a race, win it, and then instead of celebrating, he'd get all mournful and say, I wish there was somebody here with me. And he never actually mentioned Nicole Scherzinger, his girlfriend Singer.
The former Pussycat Doll.
Age 37, I think. She's 38. She looks very good for whatever age she is. Hey?
Is she as old as that?
She's about 8 years older than Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
It doesn't matter when you look like she does. She does.
Well, it's not very old, is it? 37.
No, true. No, I'm being ageist here.
You are.
But what I'm saying is, I mean, apparently they'd split up, and I saw interviews from her saying, no, we'll never get back together again and all that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it was the minute he suddenly became the world motor racing champion and one of the richest sportsmen on earth that she suddenly shot back to his side and was so anxious to greet him that she kissed him on his racing helmet before he even had time to take it off and all that kind of stuff. I'm glad you said
racing there.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike the BBC commentator who, at the time... No, I'm not being smutty, but I just couldn't believe that they actually said that.
No, I can't either. I have to agree. And my thoughts were... Well, I mean, he definitely is sold on her, 100%. And but there were times when he was so mournful, I wish I was with somebody now, and he was pleading for her to come back. And
well,
it
maybe,
seems to take months and months and months for that to happen.
Sometimes women who want to be with you, they would break up with you first to see how much you care about them.
Well, yeah, maybe.
There might be a bit of that going
on.
But
also, I'm a big believer in the fact that, when people say, she's only with him because he's a millionaire.
She's a millionaire as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that doesn't really follow.
She's only with him because he's famous. Well, I'm sorry.
She's also famous.
Yeah, you don't understand the principles of your relationship. Now, the reason I attract women of high quality, hang on.
Sorry.
Hang on. I don't know why you're laughing, Mike.
I can't remember the last woman of high quality that you attracted.
The reason I attract, very respectable women is that if you're one of life's winners...
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Which I would say I am.
You would say that, of course.
Then women are attracted to the characteristics within you that make you a winner.
Yes.
So they recognise personality, not power, personality,
they like power.
Drive, initiative, a sense of humour, an ability to make things happen, an ability to make things work.
Yeah.
Women are attracted to all that because they like winners.
Success they like.
They like winners.
Yeah.
They like success. They like winners. So it doesn't matter if you're not really like George Clooney, as long as you've got that.
You mean in the looks department?
Yeah, which...
Well, it's just as well, really, isn't it?
No, I'm not saying that I'm not. What I'm saying is, as long as you've got the plus factor, women are attracted to you. And that's a great thing. I mean, every time I see a Russian billionaire, aged about 55, and he's got a girlfriend of 23 on his arm in Cyprus on a beach, I say, that's fine, because that woman is attracted to the fact that man is powerful, he's wealthy, he must have characteristics which make him that. She's attracted to his characteristics.
What if you see an older woman with a young man, though? You don't like that, do you?
Well, I don't see that very often. Do you see that?
Not very often, no.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't see that very often. I was quite attracted to older women when I was a young man. I thought the maturity of the the more mature woman and all that was quite enticing.
You don't want to go more mature now, though, do you?
Quite enticing. No, I don't really. No, that's true. No, without being unkind to ladies, no, I don't. I mean, Joan Collins was always a real big favourite of mine.
Yeah.
I've got a picture of me and her together.
You're going to bring that picture in one day,
it was at Sir Nicholas Lloyd's 50th birthday party.
We've got to look into the light for a minute. Look, we're running out of time. I'm getting told off by the producers behind the glass.
Okay.
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. We'll see that picture one of these days. TalkSport Extra Time. We are the two mics. You don't need much of an excuse to play a Beatles song, but you've got a reason for doing it this morning.
Well, it's a tale of two bests, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Now, that was played in tribute to Pete Best.
Yeah.
Now, you say, who's Pete Best? Well, he's 72 years of age today, and all the great rock stars of the 60s are about that age. Yeah. Paul McCartney, John Lennon would have been 70.
Except Pete Best isn't a great rock star of the 60s,
Well, he nearly was a great rock star of the 60s. This is the point. He was the original drummer in the Beatles, and he was replaced by Ringo Starr just before that record was made that we've just played, Love, Love Me Do.
Do you think it tortures him when he hears it?
It must do, because, I mean, some people... I read a story a few weeks ago about a couple who went on holiday and forgot to buy their lottery ticket before they went.
Yeah.
And their numbers came up. And so when they came back, their life is ruined. 2.2 million they could have won, and they didn't.
Yeah, but you can't allow that to ruin your life, surely.
Well, it would ruin my life if it happened
to
me.
I know, but that's because you're so sort of money-driven.
Well, anyway, but the point is, Pete Best lost a lot more than that. 50 years ago, he could have become one of the most famous men in the world, as Ringo Starr did.
Right.
And for the last half century, have lived a gilded life.
Yeah.
Now, some would say that Pete Best actually would have done better than Ringo in terms of recognition as a musician.
As a drummer.
He was a better drummer.
Yeah.
And in fact...
But why did they end up kicking him out of the band then?
A very famous quote from John Lennon, who had a conversation with Brian Epstein, the manager who went on to commit suicide, as portrayed in the recent Scylla programme. And the conversation they had, the conclusion was, Ringo Starr, not as good a drummer, but a better Beatle. Pete Best, good drummer. Ringo Starr, better Beatle. And they thought with Ringo, with this flop of hair...
the way he looked?
Yeah, the flop of hair, the sort of goonish-type mouth, and the rings that he wore. He was called Ringo because he wore a lot of rings.
Doesn't that cast a bit of a kind of question mark, though, over what it was that they were trying to do? If they were hiring a guy because of the way he looked, as opposed to being a great drummer.
Well, I don't think so, because the musical talent inside the Beatles was Lennon and McCartney, and that's all you really needed. And anyway, the other famous quote from John Lennon was Ringo Starr wasn't even the best drummer in the Beatles.
No, that's why I thought it was when you were going to say it.
No, he thought Paul McCartney was a better drummer. But anyway, that's by the by.
Now, the other funny, interesting thing is Big Geordie has tweeted us at TS Extra Time. So it's 9 years today since the death of footballing wizard George Best.
Absolutely.
Aged 59.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Well, I mean, I didn't know that as well, but I'm saying it's a tale of two bests.
Yeah.
Pete Best, who is still alive, but, may have regrets in how life, one of life's great opportunities was suddenly snatched away from him. Didn't pass him by, snatched away.
Yeah.
And I've read about him over the years, by the way, and he's still playing on the local Liverpool scene.
Yeah.
Plays in Beatles tribute bands and all that kind of stuff, which is remarkable, really. But as for George Best, well, George Best's story can be so closely allied to Gazza, can't it? And we're reading a lot about Gazza over the last couple of days. Don't know why people have suddenly gone down, spoke to him down in Portsmouth, but, we all fear that story, may reach a tragic conclusion, but we all hope not. But with George Best, in his last drinking days were down where I live, Mike, and I literally one time, there was a bar in a place called Walton on the Hill. We were sitting outside, and a minicab pulled up, and I thought it was odd that it had pulled up because there was a driver, but there was nobody in the passenger seat.
Right.
And after a couple of minutes, the passenger door opened, and a man rolled out onto the pavement. It was George Best.
Really?
He'd been brought from home after only getting home a few hours earlier to be brought back because he wanted another drink in a pub, and he was lying on the pavement. It was terrible. Shocking and tragic. And that's those were George's last days, very, very sadly.
They're very sad indeed.
There we are.
Michelle has tweeted at IROMG, would Porky accept a heartwarmer off Nicole Thingy if she approached him in one of the seedy clubs he frequents? She says.
Well, A, I don't go in seedy clubs. B, my definition of a heartwarmer is an early morning drink to get your circulation started.
Heart starter. You know that made Clips of the Week, that particular remark of yours. The heartwarmer thing.
Why?
Well, because you said if Kim Kardashian came up to you in a club and asked if you wanted a heartwarmer with her, that you would basically turn her down because she wasn't somebody that... And they said this was possibly one of the most unlikely things that could ever happen ever.
That's
the idea that somehow Kim Kardashian would come up to you in any bar and start chatting you up.
I'd reject her anyway.
And particularly a heartwarmer, which doesn't mean that at all anyway. It's a heart starter is what you need.
A heart starter. I've called it a heartwarmer before now without any problems of any sexual innuendo. And anyway, Kim Kardashian's got too many curves. I like a woman who's curvaceous, has got a figure, but I'm afraid she's got too many curves, and almost to the point where that picture she did of herself with the champagne gun over her, she looks deformed to me. She looks deformed. I'm afraid to have to say that, but...
That's not very nice.
Well, I'm afraid she does. I'm sorry?
Have you seen that story, by the way, about the car that doesn't have a spare tyre? It's such a new car.
Unbelievable.
That you can't... Talking about changing tyres and all that.
It's a Qashqai or something, and...
It's a Qashqai, I think it's called.
Qashqai, yeah. This fella's...
what do you call it?
It's a Nissan Qashqai.
Qashqai.
Right, now, it's Car of the Year, right? But there's a driver here who has posted this, and it says, I had a puncture in our 2-week-old Qashqai between junctions 4A and 5 on the M6 where there's no hard shoulder. AA man arrives. When I mentioned the car's repair kit, he laughed. I was then towed to a Quick Fit in Birmingham. Yeah. OK, that seems to be a fair way away. The supervisor told me he'd never seen the tyre size on that model because it was too new. And despite the fact that Quick Fit is a massive retail chain across the country, they had no tyres in stock of that size.
So he couldn't put a new tyre on the car?
Fortunately, he was able to repair my puncture with a professional patch, but if he hadn't been able to do that, my car would have to have been transported on a low loader all the way home back to London, where I live. Following day, I discovered no UK retailer stocks this tyre, although it can be obtained from a wholesaler, but you have to give 24 hours notice.
Well, there's a lot of these cars now that don't have a spare tyre.
They just don't have one, do they?
When I did the old Citroen, and I got a puncture in that, that didn't have a spare tyre. No. And the guy turned up and he said, well, you wouldn't be able to fix this with the foam because it's a wall of the tyre that's got the problem. Yeah. And that doesn't actually work if you try and put the foam in it. So I had to go with him to a local Quick Fit, buy a new tyre, and then come back and he had to fit it on. It took about 4 hours.
Well, the Jags I had, did not have a spare tyre. Not surprised, because a wheel on a Jag costs £600.
Really?
So why are they going to stick a £600 wheel in the back of your car, which is doing nothing, put £600 on the price of your car? Yeah. And the tyres on the Jag were so thin, only about an inch, you know what I mean?
Oh, because the wheel was so big.
Yeah, and they were like those flat-running tyres, whatever you want to call them. Now, on my Merc, which is not as big a body of a car... Again, there's no spare tyre, but there is one of those that will get you 30 miles or something like that, you know what I mean? And get you to somewhere else to fix the tyre you've got on. But it's, you think of the old days... did you ever have to jack a car up and replace the tyre? Yeah, I did as well.
I wouldn't know how to do it now, though.
I had a Mini Traveller. Well, it wasn't mine. It was the office one. The one I unfortunately got wrecked. Yeah. But before it got wrecked, I remember once I was in somewhere like New Brighton, on 3 o'clock in the morning. It's on the Wirral.
Is it?
It's the sort of place that Beaky would go for a night out, when he was about 18.
Are you being disparaging?
I'm being a little bit disparaging,
Very harsh.
But we used to go when we were 18, and there was the Palais in New Brighton. To go to meet girls, you know what I mean? And then
but as long as they weren't too curvaceous or mature.
Yeah, well, as long as they weren't deformed, and take them home in the Morris Traveller, you know what I mean? The Morris Mini Traveller.
The mind boggles.
Yeah, well, it was a great attraction to have a car.
Should you have been using a company car for those purposes?
Yeah, it was all right.
I don't think you should have been.
No, it was okay.
It's supposed to be only used on company business.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, 24 hours a day you're on the job.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it. This is what Mark says, right? 1089. He's the most pedantic truck driver I think this guy's I've ever heard of. He says, I think you seem to misunderstand me. He says, driving with fog lights on when they're not necessary, i.e. if you can see the car behind your lights, then the truck behind you can see your rear lights. All you end up doing is dazzling those behind, and heaven forbid you start to brake. We can't see you braking because of the damn fog lights being on. No. That is absolute nonsense.
Red lights don't dazzle.
No.
Red lights just beam, if you see what I mean.
Well, exactly. And if you can't tell...
in this this studio.
I mean, if you can't tell when somebody's got fog lights on and then they break in addition, which are different lights, by the way, then you shouldn't be driving a truck. No. And also, as far as I'm concerned, I decide when the visibility is not good enough for me to keep the fog lights on. It's not for him to decide, is it?
Totally agree.
Absolute nonsense. And Turk from Stain says, how on earth does Porky call it a family show at 2:30 in the morning? And he says that comment about Lewis Hamilton and the kiss made him laugh out loud.
No, but I wasn't being smutty or rude. I was admonishing other people for being smutty and rude, OK?
No, but he's making the point that you can't really call it a family show at 2:30 in the morning because there aren't really kids listening really at this point,
but when you take the podcast tomorrow and put it in your car and you're on the school run and all that and you're laughing out loud, I want to make sure that it's all quality stuff, you know what I mean?
No, listen to this from William. He's picking up on that nonsense that you were spouting all over the weekend. Sorry, Porky, if you want a job doing properly, you're going to have to do it yourself. MG can't even get a podcast right. Well, heaven's sake, I mean, if we had to rely on you to get the podcast out, it would never come out.
Yeah, well, no, I have talents which do not include digital technology. This is a good one from old Kevin Gardner, who says, totally agree with you, Rory McIlroy should win Sportsman of the Year, Sports Personality of the Year. Yeah. Because he won as a result of his own talent. Hamilton, it could be said, won because of his car.
That's true.
Yeah, but somebody's got to drive the car, for goodness sake.
Well, that is true, though. I mean, that's why Mercedes both 1 and 2. Yeah. And Scott says, if Porky did his own housework, instead of getting poor Mrs. Mop to do it, he'd get all the exercise he needs and wouldn't need heart pills. I'm not sure he's right about that, is he?
No. You've got to, mine's an inherent heart condition, which my father had, and sadly it was passed to me. It killed me dad, actually. So, unfortunately, there wasn't the medical science around in those days to keep him going longer than he did, which is a terrible shame. But there we are. Listen, man, I've spoken to you in the past about people who are born and die in the same town. Right,
I'm still recovering from that introduction. Listen, man. What, have you been out sort of hanging about with some hippies or something?
No, not at all. But
why are you calling me man?
No, I didn't realise I had called you man. Did I?
You just said, "Listen, man."
No, okay, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say Mike, probably. But it just.
You never call me that, actually.
Really?
You hardly ever call me that.
What do I call you, MG?
MG, yeah.
MG's all right.
Man.
MG.
Or Fatso.
I came across this thing.
Occasionally.
Well, I don't think anymore.
I think that's insulting.
I think that's quite insulting, really.
Okay.
I mean, I might call it out in private, but I'm not going to go out in public anymore.
Yeah.
Gives the wrong
You're not
image.
going to call me that when we go to Spurs, are you?
No, not at all.
Because you did last time.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Did I?
Yeah.
What, in front of our guests?
Yes.
You're joking.
You did. You were disgraceful towards me.
Describe the setting and the situation.
Well, the setting was in the box where we were enjoying their hospitality and watching the game.
Yeah.
And you suddenly lambasted me for pointing out that, what you said you'd seen on the pitch wasn't actually happening.
Yeah.
When I said it wasn't Ross Barkley because he wasn't playing.
No, that never happened.
What do you know about it, Fatso? I think were your exact words.
Oh, well, I mean, that must have been a friendly banter.
Yeah.
Now,
that's how I took it.
Right, OK. Now, what about this? When you and I lived in America, we were always thrown this statistic: 65% of Americans don't have a passport.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So they don't go anywhere.
Correct. Still the case, I think.
Yeah, you won't believe this. There's a woman called Ruby Holt, and she grew up on a cotton farm in Tennessee, which is landlocked, right?
It is, yeah.
She got to 100 and was asked, is there anything in life you want to do which you haven't done already? She said, I'd like to see the sea.
Really?
She had never seen the sea.
Even in America, she'd never seen the sea?
She'd never been outside of Tennessee.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Never been outside of Tennessee, and so you won't believe it.
You could make a poem of that. You could rhyme quite a lot, Tennessee and sea.
Yeah, you could. What was her name again? Ruby Holt, right. So she spent all her life picking cotton. I mean, literally going back 100 years and all that kind of stuff. So what year would she have been born? 100 years ago would be
1914.
Yeah.
It's quite easy to work that one out, really.
No, it's okay. So what I'm saying is, by the age of about 12 in 1925 or 26, she could have been picking cotton in the fields, couldn't she?
She could have been.
So she could have been picking cottons before the Great Depression even hit this world.
Exactly.
Anyway,
so did somebody take her to see the sea?
Yeah. 2 carers at the home where she lives learned she'd never seen the sea, contacted some organisation called Wish of a Lifetime, and
where'd they take her?
In November, the end of November. No, is it November now?
It's
November now.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. They took her to the Gulf.
Some more of those pills.
They took her to the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
And she went onto the beach at Orange Beach, Alabama. She saw the sea for the first time ever. She had never seen the sea. She said, "Isn't it big? I've heard people talk about it and how wonderful it is, and I wanted to see it, but I've never had the opportunity."
Extraordinary.
She said, "I can't believe how much there is of it, and it's very cold, and she dipped her toes in it. I think it's an extraordinary story, that. I love that story.
It is an extraordinary story.
That is extraordinary, that poor woman.
Now, if somebody asked you...
If
somebody asked you in 20 seconds,
yes.
you know, when you get to 100, was there anything you'd like to do that you haven't done? What would your answer be?
I've done everything I want to do.
Have you?
I haven't got a problem at all. Nothing else now I need to do in this world. Believe me,
really?
It's all sorted.
There must be something.
No, there's nothing I want to do. I've sailed across the Atlantic in the QE2.
Yeah.
I've flown across the Atlantic in first class.
Yeah.
I've flown to Australia first class.
Yeah.
I've dated a string of beautiful women. I've eaten at some of the world's best restaurants.
Yeah.
It's
all about money with you, isn't it?
No. I've drunk at some of the world's finest bars with, good people, and I met Bill Clinton, and there's nothing left I want to do.
Really?
No.
Oh, I'll have to come up with some questions for you. Maybe we'll do a quiz on something like that. That was the Two Mics podcast.
Yes, it certainly was. Don't forget, it's out every Tuesday and every Friday morning on iTunes.
And you can follow us at the Two Mics.
So keep listening for more of MG's loose morals. Believe me, this boy hasn't got a moral fibre in his body.
And more of his bizarre buffoonery.
What?